to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, and boy, do we have a good show for you today. We're going to be recapping everything that went down at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship this past weekend at Nevin, everyone's favorite course. Gannon Buhr is now the $200,000 man. And did he just win the most impressive tournament of the season? Missy Gannon loves winning money. Drew Gibson joining the show, talking about everything in an incredible finish that he had. And then we have some listener questions to top it all off. Blurry Horse in the house. Uli, how's it going, brother?
Hey, things are good. I was a little late to the party. Sarah made me a nice steak.
Oh, what kind?
And so I was chowing down right before I got on. So it's my fault for us running a couple minutes late. Sorry about that. Or were we on time? Like 1 minute?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we're kind of on time.
What are you gonna do? You know. But there you go. There's my update. I'm home, living the good life. Things are good, man.
I might have a good update for you.
Okay.
I have two updates actually. One of Kelsey's good friends' water just broke. So that's very exciting.
Oh, wow.
Very exciting. Yes, we do need a Blurry Horse disc. Silas, can you make a note of that? We haven't got one yet. Just make a note and remind me to talk to Hunter. We got to get a Blurry Horse disc for the people. People want it. We got to get it for them. I've got the itch again, Uli.
I don't know what that means, but I'm not sure if I like that.
Watching this past weekend, seeing the emotion between Gannon and Ricky going back and forth, fist pumps, yelling. I want to be a part of that.
I mean, doesn't anybody who wouldn't? Dude, that was the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. I want to be a part of it. That was the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
So I actually have not played disc golf since the Heiser Club Championship. When was that, Silas?
August, middle of August.
Stop it.
Early October, right?
Yeah, you just skipped like a full month.
Early October.
Yeah. So what? 3 weeks? Yeah. So I haven't played since then, but I don't know, man. Watching that got my juices flowing like they haven't gotten flowing in a while. Like that got me ready to go. And if disc golf is turning into that, where there's actually emotion being shown, there's passion, people are getting excited. Now, granted, it was at probably the tournament that had the least amount of spectators all year. But if we're seeing that, man, I don't know. It's exciting. So I'm going to get after it tomorrow. Probably go out, play a round or two, start throwing around, maybe get some putts up in the backyard and just see what happens. See how long this lasts, you know?
Well, you got to start imagining yourself for the win. You know what I mean? You got to keep yourself what it got you excited again. So you got to be like, oh, these putts are to take down Ricky and Big Gannon. You know what I mean? Like when we were kids, I feel like the most fired up we were was, you're just shooting hoops in the backyard. I'll tell you one thing. Yeah. I've never missed a shot for the win because it was always to tie. Mm-hmm. And then you get that and you dribble it again. It's overtime every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of right now, in a position. I've got several things happening, obviously, behind the scenes, but I'm in the process, me and Kelsey in the process, talking some things out, trying to figure out what we want to do moving forward. And I'm gonna see how it goes. But man, that was super, super fun, super exciting. We're gonna get all into that very, very soon. But Silas, let's run a quick ad here for the people, quick sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. This week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at the football board and selecting Justin Jefferson for more than 83.5 receiving yards and Patrick Mahomes for less than 267.5 passing yards. Also, I like Tyreek Hill for more than 97.5 receiving yards and Saquon Barkley for more than 67.5 rush yards. Download the app today and use code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, use the code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run. Tour championship 2 years ago? Or 3 years ago. I'm muted horse. I'm a muted
Not
horse.
anymore.
Muted horse. Okay, I'm back. I think I made the tour championship a couple years ago and played at Nevin. This was before they had like some of the big changes, obviously, to the course. But it's a very, very fun course to play. I don't know how enjoyable it is to watch in person, though.
Here's the thing. It's fun. It's fun to watch in person. The problem is U.S. Championships
Are
the
we
weekend
back right
before.
now? Sorry. Are we back, Silas? What's going on?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay. All right.
We're back.
All right. We're back.
Why?
Next
People
year.
are saying they're buffering and all this stuff. I don't know. I'm just making sure.
Oh.
All right,
next,
we're back.
next year, being in Virginia, I think it's going to be way bigger. You can't have the same tournament basically back-to-back weekends. Everybody goes to the USDGC and just has the greatest time, and then they're like, how can we beat that? I don't think they want to go out there again.
Or it has to be something on the same level. It has to be something on the same level. You can't go from USDGC, which has all the tradition, has an identity, and then go to Nevin that has no tradition, no identity. It feels like you're at a cross-country high school event is what it really feels like when you're out there. Like, it doesn't really feel like you're showing up to the tour championship.
But if you did, you would have watched the greatest battle maybe in modern day history.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great battle, but what if it wasn't, right? Like, what if someone did run away with it and it wasn't
it's the same
back
thing
and
at the
forth?
World Championships in Utah. What if James doesn't hit that shot? Then
I agree. Well, yeah, but the Fort was a nice course. I think that did play well on camera a little bit. But I agree with you. The Mulligans or whatever that course
it was awful.
That course was
a lot of
that
bad
course
stuff.
was a lot of bad stuff. The James super fixed the problem.
But that's why you watch sports. Like, you're not going to go watch the. I don't want to dog on anybody's sports teams, but
Size, I'm gonna use a different one. I'm coming in. I'm way worse than normal.
All right.
how am I, Silas? Am I a blurry horse too?
Yeah, you're a little blurry.
You're
too.
blurry
What?
too. All right, I'm coming in.
It
Hold
might
on.
be my internet. My internet's struggling today. I don't know why.
Is it you?
Could be me, Dark Horse.
Was it always Silas and everyone's just coming after?
No.
We'll just keep it going. We'll just keep it going.
You can,
we'll keep
you
it
can
moving
try
forward.
and pop out if you want.
We'll keep it moving forward.
All right.
There's a chance that this might not turn into a live show in the future, Uli. We'll see.
All right.
I love the live. I love seeing the chat, but if we can't
This internet
figure
problem stuff.
if we
My
can't-
internet's rocking. I'm looking at it right now.
No, don't tell people that. They'll tell you about packets and all this stuff.
No, you don't understand. It's rocking. I see all the stats. I don't, even know how to look at the
you don't know
stats
about
on my
packets. You don't know about
I don't
packets.
even know how to look at those stats. Somebody was telling me pings and stuff. I don't know what that means. I have no clue.
Okay. One thing I will say about this course that I really enjoyed, though, is you see a lot of different shots. That's something that we always complain about. You see the same shot at a lot of these tournaments over and over and over again. Nevin, you're seeing a lot of standstills. You're seeing people reach out, trying to get, flex forehands around corners. You've got small gaps you have to hit. The difficulty of the holes also we see, swings, scoring swings. So I like that about this course.
What do you think about this idea? First, I'm going to go back to my one point. You're not going to travel somewhere to go watch, like, I'll just use a local team that's terrible, the Hornets play. But if you do, and then all of a sudden it's a double overtime, you got your money's worth, right? You got like a good basketball game and everything. So you don't always get what you pay for. Now, with that being said, I would love to see the tour hype the tour championships up the whole year and do like little things to get people there in person, because I think the ball got dropped with this particular course because it is the most exciting to watch in person. You go to other ones, you're not seeing like that 410 down the pipe that they were just lacing like every round. That's fun to see in person. That's super tough. You know what I mean? Hole 18, hole 17, dude, on camera, I'm watching it from the Jomez booth, and I'm like trying to explain to these people, like, listen, this gap is small.
Yeah.
And nobody that we filmed even came close to hitting left side or right side, and they're all in the perfect spot. And then the shot into the green is really tough too. It's not like easy. And then 18, oh my gosh, that's one of the hardest holes we play on tour. It never gets birdied. We saw that thing get throttled this last tournament.
Players are getting better.
And so in person is the only way to see that. So I'll push back and I'll say, in person, best course ever to watch. On film, you're never going to see how actually hard it is yet with the way that we film disc golf, because watching them do what they did this weekend, it was the greatest disc golf I've ever witnessed, I've ever seen in all of my life. In all of my life, I've never seen anything that.
Let me push back. In person might be the best disc golf for a certain quantity of people.
No.
That's the only problem. You can't have 3,000 people on the course out there.
Right. But if you had them and you've somehow pushed this course the whole year, here's my other point. And you advertise this and you somehow do, like, Idlewild did a great job of this. They cleared out some holes and the gaps didn't change.
Are they able to do that at this park?
It doesn't matter. The tour's moving.
I know, but are they that is the issue.
But they should have the Pro Tour needs to tell them, like, hey, this is our baby.
Yeah,
we need you to get more spectators out here and stuff. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. But speaking of coverage, let's bring up Silas. Bring up that photo I have in here. What are we doing?
Oh boy, here we go.
Why am I just seeing this angle now?
Oh, great angle.
This is one of the best angles
we were talking about
all
this
time
on Jomez. I'm like, this is what I want to see.
Guys, this is how disc golf needs to be filmed. We don't need cameras right up on players taking up the whole screen. This was the best viewing experience on the entire course.
100%.
Watching was incredible. We need to see more of this. Now, obviously, I get it. We can't do this on every hole, right?
Why not? Do it on every hole.
I'm just going to throw it out there. There's going to be limitation. They're going to tell me there's a lake behind, whatever. This is the angle, high and behind. It is beautiful. You see the flight. It was glorious. If we can get more like this, all of a sudden, disc golf becomes so much more enjoyable.
Here's what's crazy about this shot too, Brodie. It's the simplest shot on the course.
So easy.
And it looks the coolest.
It looks so cool.
Simplest shot on the course, in person or watching on regular footage, you're going to be like, meh. That's easy stuff right there.
Maybe they're finding out, though. Maybe like there's certain things that we're starting to learn. We're starting to see. Like that is now obviously. Oh man, I'm really blurry tonight. Geez, sorry guys. I am so blurry. But maybe that is something that we're starting to start. I hate the drone noise, but really like that drone. The drone can almost get that shot every single time.
It's okay. Get the drone in there. The noise.
And just deal with the noise.
Bring the noise.
I don't know. I love it. I love it so much.
I'm curious, like when you're on a football field, well, you've been close to football fields. You've been close recently. Those cameras that are on the zip lines and stuff, do they make sound?
No, but I mean, we're talking tons and tons of.
No, those are silent. I
those
can
are
attest to that. They're
all
quiet.
right.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna. If we had those, I mean, it's a Jake Wolf nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
just Tomahawk blows it up.
It's just one of those things where I do think when people are, we hear this all the time. We've always done it this way. We'll maybe stop. Maybe start trying to figure out other ways. And it looks like, hey, spoiler alert, everyone's telling you, everyone in the chat, when we brought that photo up, everyone was saying that was the best angle ever.
Oh, ever. Yeah.
So figure out a way, if you can, to try to get more angles like that, or a couple of shots throughout the round like that, And I don't know.
Dude, imagine hole, what was it? I don't know what hole. I think it's 10. The 410, dead straight.
Yeah, if it was
imagine
like
that one up here like this.
Oh my gosh.
And then you could just see them going left, going right, kicking.
It's such a more enjoyable experience. You don't have to cut away to catch cam, and then you lose literally. I mean, they cut, Joe Mez too. They cut to catch cam, and I get it. When you're in the woods, you have to sometimes cut to get around corners to whatever. But as soon as they cut, like, I can't see the disc and the basket anymore. Yeah. So I lose all idea of where the disc is, all of that. So that's my other thing with catch cam is if you're going to cut to catch cam, the disc and basket need to be in frame so that you still have the idea of where it's coming. Again, this is the biggest advantage disc golf has over golf. Golf, you see the ball hit, you see, like, they sometimes will track it in the sky, and then they literally plop on the ground, and that's it. Disc golf, the flight, we can see the entire flight, and it's so glorious. It's so beautiful. Too. So beautiful.
Yeah, so, I mean, I agree, man. I agree.
Loved it.
I've been saying that for so long. Like, if we could somehow capture that to where it looks so cool, and you can see the top of it just
so glorious. So we'll see. But let's talk about the Ricky Gannon battle here, because that's really the top story of this tournament. It was clear going into the final round that it was just going to be between those two. Everyone else was playing for third, fourth, fifth, whatever down the list, right? Ezra and Nicholas were just kind of getting tickets to the front row tickets to the show is basically what those guys were at the final round there. We saw it early. It was on, I want to say, like the fourth hole. Gannon early fist pumps. And this makes me... He did have a little fist bump on hole one. This makes me question, is Gannon more likable chasing down the leader? Is he a more likable someone you want to root for more? Because we've heard a lot of the backlash, right, of him. And again, you hear it all the time in every sport. Anyone that dominates for a while, they get backlash, right? But also the way he does it, right, so methodically, kind of stoically. We saw a lot more emotion from him having to chase Ricky down. Yeah. Do we see a more likable character? And was this part of his plan? Hey, let me give Ricky some strokes going into the final round, and let me chase him down and be a little bit more likable.
I don't think that was part of his plan. I don't think that's a great plan. I wouldn't suggest that. It worked out this time. Guarantee it never works like that again.
Yeah.
Like, this is a one-off, one case to where everything lined up. Listen, Gannon played great. He also got a lot of great breaks in that round. Yeah, he was getting through some corners that you typically don't get through. But the thing was, he took advantage of every single good break he got. And that's what you got to do on a wooded course. I mean, if there is a course on the planet where you can make a run like that and catch somebody, it's Nevin. Yeah. It's Nevin. That's the place. We saw it there. Guess what? Idlewild. Freaking Isaac had a big lead.
Matty O at
gone.
Maple Hill.
It was gone like this. Maple Hill. So these are the types of tracks. 6 at Idlewild, 6. If Ricky has 6 at Idlewild, 6 at Maple Hill, I don't see it happening. Nevin's a different kind of beast, man. Every single hole's hard. Every birdie is hard.
Well, you could finish a round at even par and be like, I don't think I played that bad.
Oh, well, Jerm and I were joking a little bit, but it's an honest answer. I think it would take me. Jerm said it would take him a month to get to 12 under, like playing rounds consecutively, because he would go like +1, -4, +2, -4. You know what I mean? That's the kind of course it
I
is.
see what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just the 13 under that Gannon shot is remarkable. Like that's the best round ever shot, I think.
Yeah, it was course record.
I really think so. And then Ricky at 12. Like you're not going to see better rounds than that. You go take a trip with your friends to Nevin and play that layout and play quadruples. You could bring your whole town and you're not shooting 13 under.
Yeah, a trick to filming that we used a lot with the Frisbee trick shots. Camera angles make distances look a lot farther than they actually are. And I think it does the same thing at gaps. When you watch it, you think gaps are way bigger and way wider. And then when you show up in person, you're like, wait a second. This is so tight. What the heck? Yeah. And I think that's exactly what happens at Nevin. I
didn't think it was even possible really for Gannon to do it, except for the 13 that he shot. Because if you look at his track record on wooded courses, he typically doesn't win them.
Yeah.
Like he typically doesn't, because I mean, we were discussing it going into Maple Hill, who was going to win, and he wasn't on our top because it's just so random. The stuff's so random.
Him too. He said that he's not a woods player, you know, like he knows
and then
that.
You look at what was crazy is watching like Isaac play on their card. Dude, this guy's playing phenomenal, shooting 5-6 under par, not making a lot of mistakes.
Ezra.
No, Isaac, I think 3rd round.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about final round.
I was when they were shooting 12 and 13. Gotcha. And he's playing phenomenal. He's not making very many mistakes, like maybe 1 or 2 bogeys here and there, making 40-footers like they're nothing, getting through, hitting big gaps, throwing his putter dead straight, and just getting mowed over by these guys. And Isaac's the best woodsman I've ever seen in my life, my lifetime.
It is absolutely crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy
maybe
watching
it's
them
now. Shoot.
Yeah, it might have to be. I mean, it's one of those things where I think Isaac kind of jumps out of us because he plays so well in the woods versus in the open. He still plays well in the open, but Gannon plays well everywhere pretty much, it seems like. So it doesn't seem that drastic of how good he is in the woods as well. But I do want to run through this. We have Drew coming on here in a little bit, which I'm excited to talk to him about some stuff. But before we get him on, I do want to run through a little bit of this round. And just, you know, you were there watching it. You did the Jomez coverage. So I'm curious, like the first thing that jumps out at me was Ricky going forehand on hole 5, the par 5 for a second shot. You said it on the Jomez coverage as well. Like that is bringing in a potential terrible kick, the way that a forehand will react. Do you think that was because the pressure Gannon was putting on him early on, that he felt like he had to make a big shot there to kind of get a little bit one back on him?
No, I think it comes down to the angles of that shot, right? So cameras don't do it justice. And in order to hit that angle, if you throw a backhand to get into the correct spot, you have to push the backside.
Yeah.
Forehand, you don't have to push the backside at all. So you're guaranteed to hit the initial gap. Now, this is like Woods 101. Hit the initial gap and then scramble from there, and that's what he was trying to do. So I don't have any pushback with what he's trying to do there. You know what I mean? He's guaranteeing, okay, I'm going to hit this gap. Backhand through there, the gap becomes way smaller because the trees are like this. You know what I mean? So you're having to hit a smaller gap with the backhand. It paid off every time with the guys doing that with the backhand, but I think it's more of a dangerous shot. Initially, it brings bogey in, and forehand doesn't bring bogey in at all.
Gotcha. He had the double putt on hole 6, you know, where does he run that if he's not feeling pressure with that tree there? It's tough to say whether or not he does. Ricky on hole 6, he was like on a knee, trying to go underneath the tree to that tough basket that's on the hill
That's all
there.
pressure. Yep.
Like, I don't know if he necessarily has to run that if he's playing well already. Ends up 3-putting there, which is not obviously what you want to do from just inside of 40 feet or something like that. Gannon then throws his second shot on hole 7 early into a tree. And this, I felt, was a moment for Ricky to kind of stabilize himself and say, all right, I'm back on track. And then he like turfs this shot short, where it's just like, what is going on? And then in Ricky fashion, drains the 60-footer in Gannon's eye right after that. And that's where we started getting a little bit of a mojo. Now, it did take him to hit a big putt there, because the upshot there was just like a standard upshot for Rick, something that you see him perform 95 out of 100 times. But it looked like something was just off at the beginning of that round.
No, it's the pressure, man. When you have a lead dwindle like that in the first few holes against the best player in the world, like, you're freaking.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. Like, how is this happening? Of course, it seems like it's really, when you're in the woods, especially, it seems like you're catching the bad breaks because you're probably throwing pretty good, and the other guy's kind of getting through, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, where's my lead going? Like, this is crazy, and you're having this mental battle the whole entire time. Listen, I've lost an 8-shot lead with 8 holes to play against Paul McBeth.
Jeez.
And it was that same thing. I was like, there's no way this can happen right now. And sure enough, it kept happening, and then kept happening and kept happening. And that pressure, it makes you tight.
Yeah, you got to try to stop the bleeding as much as you can. And like, that's exactly what happened the next hole. Like, Ricky feels like, okay, he's got a little momentum here. He has made a 60-footer. He's probably feeling a little bit better. He shanks his drive, gets a terrible kick.
Horrible kick.
Goes into the OB short. Gannon steps up, parks it. And right there, it's like 2-shot swing again. You're just like, what the heck? Next hole, Gannon gets a time warning. Not next hole, but a couple holes later, I believe Gannon gets a time warning. You catch Ricky on live saying that he was like, bro, you took like a minute on that. What does Gannon do? Walks up to a 45, 50-footer, bang, right in his face. So it just looked like Gannon, nothing was really going to deter him. Nothing was going to really stop him from his goal, which was basically just chasing down Ricky that round. And after 9 holes, Gannon had completely wiped away the 6-shot lead. They were both sitting at 38 under. And at that point, Gannon's like, and he says in his interview, he's like, it's just whoever plays better these last 9. And if you had to guess who's going to play better in 9 holes, I'm probably taking the best player in the world right now, Gannon Buhr. And that's exactly what happened. I think Ricky did have a chance. I think he lost it there on hole 11, I think it was. Hole 11, he actually ended up taking a 2-stroke lead on Gannon. That was where he yelled come on, baby. And that got
out of
me.
His hand.
That got me fired immediately out of his hand. And then I think hole 15 is what did him in. I don't know that hole's in his head. He's got something going on. He didn't play it well all week. That's a hole that you have
It's actually funny. I was talking to him about that hole. He's like, yeah, I'm throwing the turnover. I'm like, why aren't you throwing sidearm? I hope I didn't deter him into throwing the sidearm, but
you got to birdie that hole.
It's a sidearm hole. It's a tough hole too, though. Like, to the naked eye, like, that seems like a guarantee. And the shot that Gannon's throwing, it's super tough. He's throwing overstable punch on a baby Anheuser. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, it's never going to drift left. So it's not fast, right? It's like an overstable fairway driver. So when you punch it on the baby Anheuser, you're not going to pull it, and it's not coming out early. He was throwing it perfectly. And I think it was a disc selection because Ricky went fast. He didn't go slow. And so by going fast, you get to those trees quickly on the left-hand side. You know what I mean? And that's from not practicing it, I think. I think he throws like 5-6 shots in practice with the sidearm. He's got that dial. Like, you could throw a harp down there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Gannon just played well. He just played well the last couple holes, goes on to win it. This was the first time ever Ricky has lost a tournament with a 2-shot lead. He's never lost a tournament with a 2-shot lead going into the final round.
Yeah, greatest front runner we've ever seen loses 6. I mean, hey, man, Gannon's putting the tour on high alert.
He is,
bro.
Man. He is. All right, we have a few more things to talk about, but before we jump into the rest of our Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship recap, we're going to bring on Drew Gibson back to tour life because this guy decides to show up to USDGC. Monday qualifies, not only playing great in the Monday qualifier, but finds himself on the lead card the very next day of the tournament. Drew, how's it going, brother?
Hey man, how are you? I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, you fine gentlemen.
Yes, we're doing good. We're doing good. Excited to talk to you. First, congrats on the baby announcement.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You and Uli, I'm sure, can be talking back and forth about having a newborn on the way. I'm sure it's, I don't know anything about that, but you guys, I'm sure, can talk about that.
I feel like you're just preparing yourself for the biggest mess you've ever seen every day and hoping that doesn't come true is what I've been that's what I've been telling myself, is that I'm just going to be poop and throw up everywhere. And if it's any better than that, I'll be happy.
See, I can't, it's going to be interesting because I don't know how I'm going to handle that because I'm terrible at seeing other people's injuries. Like there were some major injuries in the NFL this week, and I can't watch any of them. Like I just have a hard time watching it. But if it's my injury, I have no problem watching it. And I'm hoping that is the same for like my kids. Cause like I probably don't do that great around vomit and feces of other people. But I'm hoping if it's my child that it doesn't like affect me and I'm able to just go in there no problem.
I think that's
I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't want to wipe Paul's butt, but I think I think my baby, it might be a little different. So
yeah, I don't think you guys are out of the norm here. I think everybody thinks the same way. Everybody's stuff is gross, but when it's your kid, it's a little bit different. Fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Drew, I guess first off, kind of tell us like how the season was this year, expectations coming into the season, where you're at with how you end up finishing and all that.
I mean, going into the season, I didn't expect all that much. I mean, after Preserva last year, I dropped out after, I believe, the third round. Came home, had some stuff with my arm. Wasn't really able to practice how I think you would need to practice if you want to, like, compete at the level at least I was competing at on the Pro Tour prior to being injured. So I kind of went into the season obviously hoping for the best, but Waco after the first round, I was literally in dead last place. I was the person that teed off after Kristen Tatar and MPO, so that wasn't good. But overall, I mean, I won the Q Series event in Kansas City, which is now going to be an Elite Series event. So hopefully, be able to go there and play on lead card at least for the first round as returning champion. And then overall, I think finishing the year with a top 10 finish, and as you mentioned, Monday qualifying at USDGC. Was a high note. By no means was this a season that I think anyone, I'm going to tell my kid about. Hopefully they don't know how to use Google for a long time. But overall, I would say there were some high notes and obviously plenty of low ones to talk about. But I think that comes with being a aging athlete. I know Uli and I have had these conversations before where he's had seasons that, didn't go his way or whatever. And I think that that's just kind of part of being older, being injured, maybe having to focus on business things or other things that are arising and not being able to put everything you need to put into beating Gannon every week.
Yeah.
What about so you go Monday qualify USDGC. What are those plans like? Like, do you just do a one-way ticket in and you're like, no, I got this, like I'm going to be playing in the tournament, or do you have a round trip booked for that Tuesday coming home?
Oh, I was flying out at 7 a.m. on Tuesday.
Okay.
When you play on tour for as long as I have, and then you play as many tour events as I did where you can qualify, you don't think that magically Monday you're just going to slip in. Like, obviously, I've had a pretty good track record at that tournament, and I've been winning it, I think like 4 or 5 times at some point during the event. I've made lead card a bunch of times, had a bunch of good finishes. So I thought that if there was a place I could go Monday qualify and perform would be there. But I definitely had a Tuesday morning flight home booked.
What was the card mates? Like, who were you playing with? Were other people like close to making it in?
No, by the time we made it to like kind of the crunch time of the round, like after 13, 14 area, I think everyone in my group was like decently over par.
So are they just like rooting you on? Like, how does that work in a qualifier? Or
and where's your mind at? Like, was this a stressful round for you, or was it like la-di-da, Monday morning?
Mixture of both. I think that my season I mean, after last year, 2023 being hurt and not getting to finish the season, and then going into 2024 and just having, I mean, really lackluster play after lackluster play, I didn't go into that Monday qualifier with any chip on my shoulder. I just said, hey, if I throw the disc in bounds and I make my putts, I don't think there's 5 other people in this event that are going to play better than me. So I had that going for me in the sense of, other than Grady, I was the highest rated person. So it was like, if we all just play to what our rating is at this moment, I'll make it in. And I was just trying to minimize mistakes. I think I was 7 under through, I want to say 11, which is obviously a great round at that course. And I literally just told my caddy, Ben, hey, let's just par out. I accidentally birdied hole 14. I parked it. And then from there, I just, again, tried to just make as many pars as I could. But as for being nervous, I went there with, like, of course, wanting to make it in. If I didn't want to play, I wouldn't have went. But I didn't start hole 1 nervous or with a bunch of expectations. I just wanted to play and, earn my way into that event. I've always been a big proponent of, if you tour and you don't make it into the USDGC, you frankly don't deserve to be there. So part of my decision to fly across the country and go try to qualify was just to prove to myself more than anyone else or anything else that I still, deserve to be there. And I earned the right to play there, whether I did it on Monday or did it at the first event of the year. I've always been a big proponent of, like, if you're a touring player, you don't get in USDGC, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, well, I think now we're gonna see more. Back when I first started playing, there weren't that many big names, I would say, that were like trying to qualify into USDGC. I think we're gonna see more and more like recognizable names, because it's just gonna get harder and harder to get into USDGC with as many people that are touring, because that's really what it was, right? Like, a few years ago, you would show up to a tournament and be like, oh, if I get like 50th place, I'll get a USDGC, because everyone in front of there is already qualified.
Well, I mean, that's what happened at Green Mountain Championship. Because I had to come home because we had appointments for the baby, and I wasn't going to miss that. And I knew that would put me in a situation where I had to money qualify. But Tristan Tanner, got in the tournament in 64th place at Green Mountain Championship. Like, I'm pretty confident if I would have showed up to that event, I would have, gotten hopefully 64th or better, and would have made it in. And he got the first qualifying spot at 64th place. Yeah. So, I prioritized my family and, new baby we have coming. And that was just a decision I was fine with making, is knowing I was going to miss both of those qualifying opportunities. But, again, it comes down to, he was the last person again, and he was the first person to drop out of the tournament. So at some point,
he was the second. I was the first person to drop out of the tournament.
Well, actually. You weren't 17 over when you dropped out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But no, I mean, like I said, I just feel like the people that want to be there and, earn their way being there on the course, and doing it in a way where they earned it. I mean, years prior, I always would qualify at Memorial or Vegas every year for like 5 or 6 years in a row. One of those being I won Vegas, but I always took pride in like being in the USDGC, in February. I always thought that was awesome. So this year was definitely a different change of pace, but like you just mentioned, I think that you're going to see a lot of top players without sponsorships, without being in USDGC, without touring. I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming in the next, 8 to 12 months that we're all going to be pretty surprised by.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of what the state. I feel like we're in a stabilizing. The sport right now needs to figure out where it needs to stabilize, and that's what is gonna big changes probably to come, but it'll hopefully be stable after that. Someone posed the question. They were curious: would you ever be a consultant or be interested in working with the tour when it comes to course design? Because
I've talked to Phil for hours upon hours. I'm not going to say I've like forced my way in, but I've tried to be like, hey, I'll go, Monday morning and walk and, try to do what I can. And I think sadly, not sadly, because without the local committees, we wouldn't have tournaments, but I think it just relies on the tournaments to get it prepared. And their view is by the time Monday rolls around or whatever, it's far too late for us to improve the course, for lack of a better term. So I would love to do that. Hopefully maybe one day when I retire, that'll be something I can do, is go to those events a couple weeks early, make sure the tee pads are level, make sure we're not throwing off the middle of a bridge, all that kind of stuff. But as of now, I mean, the Pro Tour is still granting, waivers and such for those type of things, which I personally think are inexcusable. And if I was there the week before, I'd say, hey, we at least need turf. We need something here. So we're not playing one of our Elite Plus events on 4 different surfaces. But where the sport's at, I mean, I don't think that there's really space for that consultant position. Or would it be helpful if, the local committee said, well, we can't do anything because it's already Monday?
Yeah. You mentioned this a little bit ago about the contracts, and there are actually 80 players right now that have their contracts ending at the end of this year. What do you think happens with all these expiring contracts?
I mean, my personal opinion, and I hope I'm wrong for the strength of the field and the sport, but I think if you're not one of the big dogs or big producers, whether it's on social media, whether it's, you host some type of show or you're in charge of something, I think that we're going to see a lot of people making some posts of, hey, I can't tour. I mean, I made a YouTube video last week about how much it cost me to Monday qualify, then stay for the 10 days. I got 10th place in the tournament and lost $1,300. So, I mean, that's not really sustainable for anybody to go get 10th at a major. And I honestly feel like I played pretty well. I mean, of course I could have played better. And if you win, you get 30,000, but I got 10th place. And I lost $1,300. So I think there's going to be people who aren't getting that monthly salary or selling bags or making YouTube revenue or, whatever the extracurriculars might be. And they are, I think there's going to be a lot of people who might be in a position where they have to decide if it's even equitable to continue to play. Because I know it's already, I mean, we all know there's plenty of people staying in their van or RV or whatever in the course parking lot, kind of trying to make it to the next thing. But that USDGC week really made me realize, like, okay, I came here. Obviously, I flew. I live across the country. I Monday qualified, and I paid my own entry fee because I don't have a company that pays my entry fees. So that was between the Monday qualifier and the tournament. That was $450. And then
did you stay at the Ritz-Carlton or what, man? What the?
Oh, you stay for any hotel for 10 days. I know. It's. So it just adds up, and it's one of those things where it's like, you get 1,700 for 10th place. It's like, even if you don't stay and if you stay in your car, you're still not actually like making money. I mean, I was there for 10 days. If you times your practice and your effort and your energy times 10 days for $1,700, it's not really like a very equitable investment. And so my point is, I think with these contracts, I think that these, just say $3,000 to $7,000 a month kind of deals that were getting handed out a little easier during COVID or shortly after are going to start going to $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000. Now all of a sudden, touring and all that becomes a lot less reachable, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, you're one of the people who you go on tour and you do all the extra stuff, right? You're making your YouTube channel or your YouTube videos and everything. And obviously that pays a little bit. Like you go into the USDGC and they're making the YouTube video about how much it costs. People watch that and you get a little money back. Are you surprised that more people don't do it? And is that tough? Is it hard to have that sort of grind, go out there, do all the small stuff and do the YouTube, or do you find it pretty easy?
I think it depends on what style. I think the style that Brodie and I had done for a while, where you're doing the course and, I don't know Brodie's situation, but I edit it myself, and I obviously try to make it look good because it needs to look good or else people are going to roast you in the comments. And I think that if you're doing an hour-long video and you have to sit there and clip it and zoom in on all the shots and all that, it becomes very tedious. And obviously the return, on a video like that, 30-minute video getting 50,000 views, of course, is there. But I always wonder why those people that are, borderline, pros, I guess you could say, where that they're not cashing a bunch, their sponsors probably not giving them 10 grand a month, why they're not using a little bit of their extra time to grind on the videos. But as someone that does, I also understand, if your goal is to be the #1 player in the world, you're not going to be grinding on the videos. Yeah. I strongly believe that. I mean, Simon, from my knowledge, is about the only person that's won a pretty good amount of times in the last, just say 5 years, and also films, edits, and does all his own videos.
Well, there's also a lot of people that are just bad on camera.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot. Obviously, I mean, my realization too is, I ended up buying a pretty nice camera. Then you get $400 wireless mics, and before you know it, I've paid $3,500 for my camera setup, which of course you don't need that, but that helps people. If they find your channel for the first time, they're going to subscribe or enjoy the content because they can hear you and they can see where the disc is going. So to even create YouTube content that's going to get people engaged and get those subscribers to get the money, you have to invest in it. I think very few people.
I use my phone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're one of the most popular people in disc golf. So people are going to watch you if you film it with this watermelon can. So it doesn't, that's not like, I think that you're one of the outliers that, can film it on your phone, edit it on your phone, and people still live and die for your content. I think that mid-level pro who has 2,000 Instagram followers, it's going to be really hard for them to grow their YouTube channel with an iPhone and expect people who are watching my videos, Brodie's videos, Simon's videos, Ezra's videos are pretty high quality to think, I'm going to give this person my 30 minutes versus these other options that are already out there.
Well,
Yeah,
again,
makes a lot
it
of
goes
sense.
back to the fact of like there are just people that are more entertaining than others, and that's why
Bonanza. We've seen what he's done. He is sub 1,000 rated. But he creates great. Every time I watch one of his videos, I'm like, man, if I could edit like this, I'd have 1 million subscribers. He's just very good at telling a story and putting himself in front of the camera. And maybe some people might not like the content or whatever, but at the end of the day, he's really good at what he does. But that makes why when he was 800 rated, why people liked watching him, and he grew a following because he had nice equipment. You could hear him. He knew how to edit. And so I think that this is one of those sports where, just like Brodie has kind of proved with his other ventures. Ultimate to trick shots to golf to people follow him because he's good at what he does and able to present a product and be entertaining and people are interested. I feel like someone in disc golf with 2,000 followers, it's hard to even get the people interested because you only have a small pool to really pull from to start your channel, if that makes any sense.
No, that's a good point. With disc golf, if you're going only in disc golf, you're basically what you're saying is right. You're having to pull people's attention away from other areas because there are so many people doing it now. When I first got into disc golf, there was almost no one doing social media, almost no one. And now it's almost like everyone's doing it now. So it's way harder to kind of get your foot in the door, if you will, because like you said, everyone's kind of already like, well, I watch this, I do this, I watch that. And now you're trying to get people to go away from you. You have to kind of go outside the box and do something different. I do want to say a little bit. I saw something about MTV Cribs. Do you guys remember that show?
Yeah.
I thought this was actually very fascinating. So almost the entirety of that show is fake. A lot of the houses they're showing, they actually don't even live in the house, or they're leasing, or it's someone else's house. They were saying like the 50 Cent one where he was showing all the cars that he had, those were all rentals. It was very much a look at how crazy a lifestyle these people have, when in fact they really didn't. And the kind of documentary about it was basically saying, I'm sorry, I'm ruining it for a lot of people. This is me telling you that Santa isn't real. Don't have your kids watch this. But the reason for a lot of that is, or at least what this guy's theory was you need to have all these people trying to aspire to be a huge movie star or musical artist, because those people end up feeding into that industry, and they need those people. They need those people to feed into the industry. And if you have the lifestyle of, I think they were saying like JoJo at this time was like living with their mom out of their car from like hotel to hotel, right? If you show that lifestyle, it's not really one that people are going to look at and be like, I want that to be me, right? And I think that is maybe an issue a little bit with disc golf. Is right now there are a lot of people living in your van and traveling around the world, and that is hitting a very small minority of people that want that lifestyle. Do we see that being an issue, and is that something that's even fixable, or is there things that we can do to fix that? Because it's not a very luxurious lifestyle. It's not one that people are going to look at and be like, I want that. I get it. There's going to be some people in the comments being like, I would love to do that. I'm talking about the grand scheme of things. It's not a super luxurious lifestyle.
I think that it's a tough sale. Like I said, I toured with Paul. We lived in his Kia and we went hotel to hotel. I've lived in an RV. I've done it every way you could think of. And at the end of the day, I think it boils down to my experience at USCGC. In order to get there, get in the tournament, do all that. You know, you're playing professional sport at the highest level and getting 10th place, which, like I said, I'm proud of. If you told me every year you play USCDC, you're going to get 10th, I'd be like, hey, that's a good career in itself. You know, when you go there and you lose funds, I think that's a deterrent. People want their kids to play baseball and soccer and basketball and these sports because, as you mentioned, you know, you're seeing Shohei Ohtani sign $400 million contracts and hit dingers on, you know, ESPN. And it's like, what parent wouldn't want that for their kids, you know? And there's kids like Gannon who are making, you know, more than CEOs of companies.
He's making a lot of money,
you know, succeeding. And he's 19 years old and doesn't have a house, doesn't have a car, doesn't have a driver's license, you know, like he's living the life. I don't know where all this is going. Hopefully he's investing in an Apple stock or something. But overall, I mean, there's two sides of the coin here. You know, there's a group of people that are making a lot, you know, and succeeding a lot and selling a lot of product. And then there's a group of people, which is much bigger, that I think, you know, are more in that MTV Cribs kind of category of, oh, I'm a professional athlete, you know, I'm going here, I'm going there, but it's, you know, they're, you know, cooking quesadilla in their van or whatever it might be. And like I said, I'm saying this is someone where when I went on tour, I remember first tournament ever, Ulibarri, I fly there with him. I think Geisinger maybe won the A tier and got like $680. And I literally told Paul, I said, how the heck do you do this? I'm like, he just won the A tier we played and he got $600 and he's like, oh man, it's a grind, you know. And now we're seeing like that same A tier now probably pays $2,000 or $3,000. So it's like we're seeing, like, I've been there, Paul for sure has been there since, like, you win a tournament or you do something and you theoretically get nothing. We did it because we loved the game and it was easier than working at Target. You know, that's like always my joke. People are like, well, why do people tour if they're, you know, the 80th person guy? It's like, well, if you make $30,000, it's better than making $30,000 at Target. You know, at least you're out traveling the country, you know, hanging with your friends, playing practice rounds. Like, but I remember getting in the car and, you know, the award ceremony at Minnesota Majestic, and I literally looked at Paul. I'm like, dude, how do you do this? And he just laughed and said, buddy, it's a grind. And, you know, sadly for most people that hasn't changed much. I mean, Brodie, I'd love to see your schematics on how much you've invested into the sport versus like what you brought back on the course wise, not obviously sponsorship and all of that. Like, you know, obviously you dedicated your life to this game for the last 3 or 4 years, traveling. I'm going to see you every tournament doing all this stuff, you know, and it's like, even when you play well, it doesn't make up for the weeks you didn't. You know, if you're on the PGA Tour and you know, miss 9 cuts in a row, then you get 8th. It's like, oh crap, okay, I just got 1.6 million. I could go home and do nothing the rest of the year and have a just fine year. You know, for us, it's you miss 9 cuts in a row, then you get 8th. You're like, okay, cool. Now I can, you know, maybe go to buy some organic food instead of McDonald's tonight.
Yeah. No, it is tough. I mean, it's getting better. And again, it's one of those where I do think it needs to be top heavy, and we can't be trying to, you know, have all these people on tour make a living. It does need to be a little bit cutthroat and top heavy, because that's what's just going to produce the more talent. It really is. It's going to make people hungrier. It's going to, you know, survival of the fittest. If you're not good, you're cut, and you got to get better. And so I think it is what it is. But
the MTV Cribs thing is funny. And one thing I will say about that is, like, when you go into a job interview, I don't know where I'm going with this, but when you go into a job interview, you're going to dress up, right? That's not you. Like, you're dressing up to be like, hey, I'm professional today. I really want this job. It's the only suit you have. You get what I mean? One thing that I've done my whole career is, I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way for a long time, is I always just carried myself like I was an athlete and I was the best out there. You know what I mean? And there's something to that. I think what I see on tour with a lot of people is I see a lot of doubt, and they go to each tournament and they grind it out and they're doing the thing, but there's no belief behind it. And from coming from a place like Drew said, where I'm like, no, it's a grind. Like, no, it's more of a lifestyle of like, I'm here for the love of competition. You know what I mean? And you see, I was having an argument with somebody the other night, and they were asking if I would trade world championship for $1 million. And I said, yeah, absolutely. 100%. They were like, well, what about for all the money in your bank account? I said, yes. And they're like, they couldn't understand why. And in sports, you see across the board, no matter where, you're going to see these fairy tale stories of somebody. Like I just watched a thing on Instagram with the Lions kicker being like, "Hey, I was a bricklayer 18 months ago, and now I'm kicking winning field goals in the NFL." Like there's always going to be those stories across the board. There's always a level of I'm grinding, okay, I made it type thing. UFC is a big part of that too. And I don't think it's ever going to change. Like there's always going to be those outliers of barely making any money and trying to grind and get on the tour. The problem is in our sport is the top 20 guys. If you're not top 15 in the world, you're not making any money. Like Drew said, he took 10th place at the USDGC, he lost $1,300. Like, that's not very lucrative. You know what I mean? The top guy's making a bunch of money. But is that like the change that we need? Does the whole entire purse need to be crazy good in order for everybody to be successful? Or is it just like fine to be the top guy, you deserve it, you win all the tournaments, you're fine?
I think that my opinion on this is that with what happens with these contracts this offseason, I sadly believe, and I was telling someone else this today, that I hate to say it, but I think that there's going to be a lot of those people that are that mid-level could get top 5, top 10, maybe even win the event. But typically you're in that, 50 to 25 range where you're getting, maybe your money back for the week after, expenses and stuff. Those people are going to have to decide that they simply can't do it anymore, because at the rate that hotels, gas, food, everything else is going up. I mean, everyone who lives in our country knows that that's the truth. The purses aren't going up at the same rate in that 50 to 25 range. And so those people, if they want a family or kids, or at some point, you're not a 20-year-old kid anymore and say, well, screw it, I have nothing to lose, I'm going to get in my car and go to the next tournament. I think those people, if these contracts, obviously, as it seems to me by the market, are going to go down, I just simply think that they can't make it. I mean, no one should become homeless or, eat water for dinner in order to play disc golf. And I sadly think that if the sport goes the way it's going when it comes to these contracts. And I was at Music City Open this year, and someone told me about one of the big manufacturers sending out a mass email saying, hey, expect cuts at the end of the year, and send it to everybody. There wasn't someone excluded from that email. And so it's if that's where we're at, and that's what the market is, showing, that I think that those bottom, like I mentioned before, those $3,000 to $7,000 people are now $1,000 to $3,000 people. And I simply don't think you can make it from event to event on that. And I think that hurts the sport in the sense of, because I agree with Brodie, especially when I was at the top every week, I definitely thought, man, I got freaking 6th place. Why did I not get $5,000? It should be higher up. And I still think that way. I just think that there needs to be some type of way to facilitate those people who still played well. Like I said, I think now 15th place is great. I mean, I think if you get 15th place, you're pretty much in the top 3 cards the whole event. You're beating great players. I think that should be rewarded with more than $1,000 here or there, in my opinion. And I think that that's for the sustainability of the sport, and less for hey, I get 15th and I want more money. I think if you want more money, you need to sell more discs or make more videos, or in disc golf, it's not like you're chasing this $100 million deal unless you're maybe Gannon or AB or some of these young kids that are absolutely killing it. But I have a tough time believing that there's going to be people chasing the dream once the people who are already barely making it possibly get even deeper pay cut, if that makes sense.
Well, it was easier to chase the dream back in the day. And people don't understand that. It was so much easier. You know why? Because entry fees were $75. $75 was fine. I can go to a tournament, play for $75. I get $400. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now it's $10,000 for a tour card.
Yeah,
you can't pay that before you go on tour for a lot of these people.
That's why our purses are higher. That's what a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't realize that, guys. At the end of the day, disc golf is a bunch of guys showing up, taking money out of their pockets, throwing it into the pile, and then there's one person that's, you know what? I'm not playing, but I want to make this a little bit more interesting, and they're matching the money. That is what disc golf is. I think a lot of people just don't realize that, but at the end of the day, it's all of us just showing up to one of our buddies' house, and we're playing poker, and it's all of our money. That is what it is. Like,
And Gannon has 25 full houses every.
if you
And
want,
Gannon has the card in his pocket.
we can go back to $75 entry fees, but you know what? No one's winning $15,000 anymore. The winner is going to be taking home $8,000.
Here's my problem.
That's just what's going to happen. It's all of our money that's making the tour purses higher. That's just what it is.
If I have a problem with this like conversation, it's simply this. It's that, like I said, I pay my entry fees. I paid $80 to play the Monday qualifier, which of course they put that money into the purse. I'm not complaining about the $80. But then they sent me a thing of, oh, hey, pay your invoice. I owed $375 more dollars. So I paid $450, whatever, to theoretically play the USDGC. And then you tell me I get 10th and I get $1,700. It's like, well, what just happened? It's like, how is this like you just said, we're paying the money in. And I think that the reason they're getting away with this is because, you know, a lot of these players and a lot of the companies pay the entry fees. So the Pro Tour says, screw it. The Discraft's going to pay your $10,000 tour card. You don't have, who cares? So they just keep raising it. And the purse inherently goes up because it has to. But it's just like the tour card thing. Like, in my opinion, I've said this before, so I have no problem saying this on a public thing. We pay $1,000+ for a table of Costco snacks and a parking spot. Like, I don't feel like I get a tour card value from anything. Like, I'm already playing the tournament. I already paid my $300 entry fee.
There's a lot of money being spent incorrectly.
And so for me, it's like I am like a, you know, small time racing team pretty much in like a NASCAR. Like, I'm paying for everything on my own. So you charge me $1,000 to park in the parking lot when I'm already parking further than the media crew and everybody else. It like doesn't make sense to me. It's like you're charging me, the person, $1,000 to park at the tournament I already paid to play and already paid to travel to, and now you're pretty much charging me for a parking spot and some like granola bars. Like, I think that that's like the biggest problem. But 99% of the people that pay for a tour card, Discraft or Innova or whoever reimburses them, and so they don't care. Like, oh yeah, cool, I'll charge $9,000. I'll just tell, you know, Bob to send me a check next week. It doesn't matter. But like, the problem with me is that I could easily just sign up for these tournaments, not get a tour card, and maybe I have to park in BFE and take a shuttle or whatever, like the spectators. But at the end of the day, like $1,000 for a parking spot is like kind of insane to me. And I feel like, I mean, maybe you guys can elaborate more on what you feel like you get, but that's what I feel like we get from that. And Seth isn't even at these tournaments anymore. If you're someone, I know, Brodie, you use Disc Golf Strong. I think you do, Uli, as well. It's like, he's not even there. So now there's just a Zuka cart full of toys that you got to do yourself, and you're still paying $1,000. It's like, I don't know. That's part of the problem, in my opinion. And maybe I'm being like slightly harsh, but like, oh, the sponsors will pay it. We'll just charge them $1,000. It's like, well, I don't view it that way because I don't have a sponsor that pays it. And now you're charging me $1,000 for a parking spot.
Yeah, I want to talk on that, but before I want to finish with the money thing too, with just the reason why the payouts are kind of wild right now is if we go back to the analogy of all of us playing poker, right? All 10 of us, let's say we have 10 guys sitting around, we're all playing poker. We all throw $5 in. Okay, we have a pot of $50, right? We need to start figuring out how to break that pot up. Now, if we pay all the way out to 5th place, so that whoever gets 50th or 50%, right? 5th place, let's say they get their money back. Well, now we're down to 45. Okay, 4th place, let's say they get $10. Well, now we're down to 35. 3rd place, they get $15. Now we're down to 20. We're running out of money. And so you make it to where like 1st place is like barely getting anything. And so what you have to do, and that's what you're basically saying right now, is when the purses get massive, right? If we had massive amount of purses versus the entry fees, then you can make it set up to where 1st place still gets a crazy amount of money and it doesn't hurt that far down. But when the entry fee is very close to what the purses is, that's where it's like at a certain point, it's like, well, we want 1st place to actually win money. So we got to figure out where the break-even point is. And right now, the break-even point, like you said, is not even 10th place, right? As far as all the other expenses that you had to pay for, you know, hotel, food, travel,
If you're not living in your car, you're not traveling in a Sprinter van, and you fly into this tournament and you stay where hotel, yeah. And I think that you're using the word purse when it's entry fee and added cash for a total purse.
And that's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
The entry fee and added cash, aka like sponsorships, whatever that is, right now they're equal. And it needs to be where like the added money and stuff, that needs to be like way up here.
That's what you were supposed to do for disc golf. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. You get speed bumps a lot of times, unfortunately. I also heard disc golf like was the nicest people ever. And it's like, if you don't, they're very nice to you until you disagree with them, and then they hate you.
Someone told you a bunch of disc golfers were nice.
Yeah.
My career, the average tournament was $500 a tournament. That's how much I won over my whole career.
Like that, you just did the math on that, you're saying?
Yeah, I did it a while back. It was like I averaged like $500 a tournament.
I think we should give it. This is my opinion, and I'll pay for it for 1 week. All those disc golfers that are going to comment on here and be like, well, you guys are complaining. I'd love to do that. I want to Venmo them $500 and tell them to figure it out for the week and see how they feel about it. And you go to work every day, but you don't get paid. You just get your $500 still. Because it's not like you and I or us all haven't went there and practiced our butt off every day, showed up in the 100-degree heat and the pouring rain and tried our best, and you average $500 for a week of work. That I don't think anybody, honestly, we love disc golf, and that doesn't change me. I love disc golf. I'm going to play next year. Like, I'm not saying this is like a hate retirement speech, but I'm saying this is like, I don't think a normal person realizes that, like, you're one of the most recognizable people in our sport, and you average $500 per week of work. And that's a choice. If I start a cabinet company, that doesn't mean that I get to make $1 million a year because I started my own cabinet. I mean, we have a choice to like play disc golf, but you've dedicated your life, breath, soul into disc golf. And like at the end of it, you're getting your return on your investment / time per week per hour, is a questionable return. And I'm obviously, Brodie and I don't keep in that close of touch, but I'm sure that's part of what is maybe gotten you out of disc golf more is maybe, sports cards doing, I'm sure whatever streaming site you're on
it's never a financial thing, right? Like I've always told people, if it was a financial thing, I would never have stopped doing Frisbee trick shots. I would never have stopped doing golf.
But at some point, no one wants to lose money every single day for their whole life. Like, I'm not saying that you did.
That's literally what I do every day. It's called having a wife, brother.
Yeah.
I lose money every day, brother.
But I'm just, like, my point, I wasn't meaning to come across as like rude to your whatever. I was just saying, like, at some point, if you were making $1 million a day, it might be easier to be like, oh man, I'm really going to keep grinding on this disc golf thing. And that's just like anybody. I don't care if you told me, hey, I have to go outside in my front yard and stand in a trash can and bang my head with the drum set, but I'm going to make $1 million a day. I'll do it.
Yeah, you do get to the point though, just like being upfront, like there was a point in time where I could go out, spend a day to 2 days filming a Frisbee trick shot video. And that video would go anywhere, depending on sponsorships, anything like that. That would make me anywhere from like $15,000 to $100,000. But there comes a point in time.
I think I'm pretty good at trick shots. What about you?
There becomes a point in time where money doesn't really do it for you, and it's never really done it for me. Hence why I started doing Frisbee in the first place. Like, you don't really. I wasn't really making a lot of money when I first started, but I loved what I did. And so that's why, like, getting into disc golf, it was never about the money. I loved playing disc golf. I loved competing. I loved trying to learn how to play. Now there's other factors that go into it where I'm just like, man, I don't really see the growth. I don't see things changing. I don't see things going the right way. Obviously too, like, it's not super fun when you're giving a lot of time and effort into something and you just have a bunch of people trashing you all the time. Like, doesn't really make you feel that great. So there's other factors than me. I get what you're saying, but like, I'm just in a spot right now where like money doesn't incentivize me to do something, but it 100% does for a lot of people that are early in their career, or maybe money is something that is very, it definitely incentivizes a lot of people. money
Yeah,
just
no, I mean,
never
I
was
agree.
something that incentivized me.
You just spoke something that hit me right in my soul, is that, you put your heart and soul and time into something and just feel like you get crapped on. And granted, I've brought a lot of it upon myself with my hot takes or my comments at times, but I've definitely felt that way about disc golf for a long time, is that I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I've never actually hurt anybody or actually done malicious things to people. And I feel like I get a lot of smoke, I guess you could say, from people. And I feel like I've given as much or more than I've taken from the sport. And so I feel where you're coming from in that standpoint of, feeling like you're putting products out there or yourself out there and getting, I guess, minimal self-return, I guess, if that's the correct term. But I definitely feel you on that one.
Well, it's at the end of the day, too, it's just one of those things of where right now disc golf is in a very it's a very interesting spot, right? Because there was just not a lot of media around disc golf. There just wasn't. There wasn't a lot of people talking about it. And now it's one of those where it's like, if you're not the best, if you're a touring pro and you're not the best player in the world, your opinion doesn't matter, is what a lot of people have. And to me, it's just like, for a sport to really blossom and to really grow, you need to have people excited about it. You need to have people excited to debate about it and talk about it. You go on any forum and you'll see fans go crazy back and forth. Yeah, we're lagging super bad right now. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, I will try not to move. But any sport, when there's passion, people go and go crazy. And that's the thing, is like, when you show that passion in disc golf, even people, I would love to hear what Ricky said afterwards, because do either one of you know what he said after?
I watched it.
Okay, we'll talk about that right after this. But even when you show passion in like playing disc golf, people, like, there's people that are like, that guy sucks, I hate that. And it's growing pains right now. There's a lot of growing pains that disc golf is having to go through right now. And it's very interesting to see where it goes, because it has a potential. And again, it's at the end of the day, disc golf is never going to change for the majority of people that play disc golf. We, on this podcast, pretty much 99.9% of the time, we're talking about the professional game. If you love disc golf and you hate the pros, or you hate don't watch this podcast. This podcast is about the professional game. And that's where I think the line draws, is everyone wants to be lumped in the same group and be all part of the same community. And if you look at other sports, there are multiple communities. There are people that like to just play beer league in softball. There are people that like to play semi-competitive. There's people that like to play competitive. There's people that like to play there's so many different levels. And I think disc golf right now, and Uli, tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think people wanted to grow out of that grassroots where everyone was together. And I think that's a lot of times what we're seeing, the pushback is, I'm saying we need to create multiple communities where everyone feels welcome in their community, and everyone's like, no, it needs to be this one community. And if you're trying to break that up, get the flip out.
Yeah, I think they're two separate things. I think the professional side, completely different from the recreational side. You can still have that sense of community. You can have your local clubs. You can do your beer leagues. You can go out, play doubles on the weekend, play with your buddies, play with 3 discs and a beer, and it's fun, right? But when you're talking about, I think you're right, Brodie, when you're talking about the top, tippity top, which we do on this podcast, people get offended because they don't live it. They don't know it. I come from a place where I could have never, I could say I imagined it getting here to this point, but I still haven't imagined it getting past this point, right?
Yeah.
Like this is like as far as I thought it would ever go. I believed in my heart when I was young, like, oh man, maybe somebody could make $100,000 a year, $200,000. That was $1 million to me, you know? Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's gotten to a place where we can have good careers if you really do it the right way is incredible to me. But for me, I always want to see disc golf get bigger, grow bigger, as good as it possibly can do. And that's why I give everything. Just like you guys, I give everything. I'm doing a podcast at what time is it now? 9:30 at night. Got a wife and a little baby upstairs.
Yep.
But I give everything because I want it to grow.
I think that what Brodie said is, and I think that Uli, I'd love your opinion on this. That's why we're here. I think early in my career, I was much more fiery, much more upset. I've kicked my bag, I've done that stuff. And I think that quickly in my early career, I got labeled as, overly passionate might be a kind way to say it, a PC way to say it. And I think that sadly, that's just like kind of stuck with me. I think that and I think that that's like what you're talking about with the community, is it's like, if that's not how you play at league, you now hate that person. I mean, you see it with Nico, and I'm not at all comparing myself to Nico, but it's the same thing. He gets on league card and the comments are just, oh, he sucks, he's slow, he's this, and he's like, that's one of the best people to ever play our sport. Like, whether you like him, you hate him, you think he's slow, you think he's fast, you think he's annoying, it's like, at the end of the day, he's an athlete, he's a competitor, and he's one of the best you've ever had. And now, has he won USCDC, 11 years ago? Sure. But like, at the end of the day, like, if you're a fan of the sport and you like disc golf, then there has to be some like respect paid, I feel like. And I think that's what we're missing from like our fan base, in my opinion. It's just like Gannon. Oh, Gannon's slow. Gannon's this. It's like, why can't we just like appreciate what we're watching to a certain extent? And I'm not saying you have to like everybody. I'm not saying you have to like me. You have to like Brodie. You have to like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, at a certain point, I think there's some respect level to being a fan of, like, you might hate Tom Brady, but if you say he's a shitty quarterback, then you just aren't a fan of sports. Like, you can't just be like, oh, Tyreek Hill's horrible, and be like, oh, I love football. It's like, no, you can not like the guy because of whatever he did or didn't do or got arrested or whatever, but like, you talking about somebody's game and them separate from their personality is like what needs to be done, I think, for disc golf fans to like be able to unite, in my opinion. Because like, Brodie, you and I, we've had our back and forth. I still have enough respect for you when you text and say, hey, do you want to come on? Yeah, I'm happy to be here. There's no bad blood from my end between you and I, and we can have our little spats. That's life, that's sports, that's being a colleague or whatever. I mean, not everyone's going to get along or see eye to eye every single step of the way, but I have enough respect for you and Paul where I'm happy to be here. I'd love to be here every week. This is fun to me. But I think that we're lacking, like, as a disc golf whole, of being, I guess, cooler to people that you don't quite think are the bee's knees, if that makes any sense. Paul, what do you think about that, being here for 4 years?
I think it's sports. I think it's sports in general, and the bigger we get, the more people are going to not like you. I think that just comes with the territory. Like, I look at football every single weekend, and if you're on my fantasy team and you're not playing good, I'm saying to the TV that you suck. You know what I mean? And I think that's sports in general. Now, do I really think that about the guy? No, but the guy got me 0.2 points, and I lost my fantasy league by 4 points.
Trash.
Like, that guy stinks. He's trash. He's going on the waiver wire, And I think what you're saying is a little bit more personal, because it's such a tight-knit community that you see the comments and you're like, wait, I know that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's met me, and that's a lie type thing. You know what I mean?
I think you're correct. It's like, I'll see, even just like, I know Brodie has had to, like, someone post something and you're like, man, that's kind of rude, or that's just simply not the truth. And then there's 4 like pro tour players that like it, and you're like, whoa, like, what? You're like, what did I do to you? You're like, what do you like? That's obviously not the truth. That's like someone from their account, and they have 4 friends and their profile picture is a cat, and now it's like these people are like jumping on this bandwagon. And like you said, I think it's just like if I said something about you, Paul, versus someone else saying something.
Yeah.
You'll call me or text me, like, hey, man, what the heck? Or if some, chucker from Illinois says something to you or about you, even if it's the same exact words, you're like, whatever. I think that the personal side of the things is where, we, as disc golf, could help separating these things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think where we want the sport to go, right? We're looking at other sports. We want the money, we want the fans, we want the exposure. That's what a lot of people want the sport to go, right? And when I talk about the sport, I'm talking about the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm talking about the pro scene. With that comes negative stuff. It is what it is, and we don't even have right now, we don't even have people betting against us. That's really like what Uli was talking about. Like, that's really where someone might send you a DM to,
You might lose their house.
yeah, or say like, if I see your kids out, but they're going to say really nasty stuff. Right now, we don't even have teams. Like, that's the other thing. Like, there really isn't, if someone doesn't like you right now on the Pro Tour, they just don't like something about you personally, because there is no connection. No one has any connection towards me, versus if I went to a team that person was a fan of for years and I start playing bad and losing the team. Now all those people hate me because they're like, dude, you suck. You're making us lose. Whether I win or lose has no impact on anyone, and so it's literally just whether they like you personally or not. Do they like how you play? Do they like what you say? And at the end of the day, you can't really fault someone for that. And we also need more people. And this is where I think at the end of the day is like, you just need more people sharing their opinions and being open to talking about it. And so like, that's where with me, like, we create a show for people to call in and debate night and all that stuff. I just don't see that getting any better as the sport grows. It's only going to get worse. And you just have to deal with it. You got to be ready for it. What'd you say, Uli?
No, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah.
All right, let's change a little. Let's change a little bit and go something else. This was actually an interesting post. Before we let you go, Drew, I kind of want to roll through this because you are someone that's not afraid to say what you're thinking, which, at the end of the day, you got to respect someone, whether you agree or not, to at least say what's on their mind. We need more people to actually step up and do that. So this was a post by the Disc Golf Fanatic page over on their Facebook. They said, if you had one recommendation/tip for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, what would it be? And I want to respond. I want to give you guys some of the comments and then hear what you guys think. So the first comment I pulled out was, let the low entry divisions do more creative things to keep growing the sport. When TDs won't give women our layout, we just start playing in women only tournaments and local tournaments, get less of our support, educate. So this was a little bit of an interesting one.
What was the original? What does it say at the top?
Let the low entry divisions do more.
The original post. What is the topic?
Oh,
sorry.
If you could just give the Disc Golf Pro Tour a recommendation or tip.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
So it's let the low entry divisions do more creative things to keep growing the sport, which I kind of agree with. I like that. But then I'm confused with this one. When TDs won't give women our layout, we just start playing in women only tournaments, and local tournaments get less of our support, educate. So I think they're saying like, I think this is a female. I
think that what they're trying to convey is that if they sign up for, just say, the local Dallas Open B tier, and they have to play the same tees and baskets as the men, they're more likely not to play and support that event and go play another event, versus if that TD at the Dallas Open were to give them an FPO layout with shorter tees or shorter baskets or both, that they would be happy to support both events. But I don't know what that has anything to do with the Pro Tour, because the Pro Tour every single week has 18 pretty much different pins or tees for the basket. I think, for the women.
Yeah, I think this also just kind of shows like there are just a lot of people that have opinions or think they have opinions, and they don't really know the ins and outs, and so maybe it's not always the best. One of those being like the format. Didn't everyone hate the previous format where they reset?
Yeah, for the most part, there was a lot of negative
like there was a lot of people saying that was so stupid, and then this time now we're seeing everyone say, well, no one's going to beat Gannon. He's starting with 10 shots. And then I know when like Nathan Queen won, when they did the pools, everyone was saying when that happened, like, well, this is so stupid. Nathan Queen won because of everything. Everyone's going to find something to disagree with. Not everyone, sorry. There will always be someone out there that disagrees. We just need to come up with stuff that's the most entertaining to the masses. That's basically what we got, because there's always going to be someone that's upset.
As the guy that got second to Nathan Queen, I think it's a cool story. I think him, going through, I think he obviously played the most rounds of anybody, and then taking down myself, Hamas, and Macbeth in that final round. Like, obviously, I would have loved to win, but I think that makes for the story. I think now, I mean, let's be real. Whoever got in 32nd place, they do have 0% chance of beating Gannon. And in my opinion, as they should.
Yeah.
I mean, Gannon earned that throughout every single event and every single week, but I do think there's got to be some way to have a happy medium between these two.
Well, if we like the playoff, turn one of these events into that playoff format.
Yeah, I think there's just something.
If we like it, just do that.
Yeah, I think there's got to be something that's in between, because I do think that it's a little BS. Like, one of the rounds Uli caddied for me at that Pro Tour Championship I lost, I think probably shot like 10 or 11 under at Hornets Nest. And then the next day I was just even par again. I think I shot the hot round by like 3 or 4 strokes, and it's like, I lost by 1 or 2. It's like, I would have loved to have those strokes that I earned. But go ahead.
Have the Pro Tour be like this. The points and everything is just a straight payout. So you get, if you win the Pro Tour Championship, it's a bonus $30,000 for being the points champion. And then everybody who qualifies, just throw another tournament together.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do agree, because when I looked at it, and I don't remember, I think it was like Jesse Niemanen. I hope I'm saying his name right. Jesse. He got in because he won a Pro Tour event in Europe, whatever. And he was at the very bottom of the list at even par and getting 10 under. And I'm like, this guy has negative 20% chance of winning the tournament. Like, to him, it almost feels like I would assume like you're out there just because you're getting paid, some lump sum of money in order.
Well, he could finish. He could finish in 6th or 7th or 8th if he played really well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just feel like there has to be some type of like medium here and like I said, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Like, I just think there needs to be something that's a little bit more rewarding to the top people, but a little less punishing to the bottom people.
He earns it like if Tiger Woods in his heyday got 10 shots going in the FedEx Cup, like, nobody's catching him. You know what I mean? That's just the way that what happened this year with Scotty Scheffler?
Yeah,
did he
just
win?
The way the format's set up. I don't think disc golf.
Did Scotty Scheffler win?
I wasn't paying attention, but I just don't think it's good in golf. I don't think people like it in golf. I don't think people like it in disc golf either. Like, the way that disc golf is set, this goes back to, that was all created for FedEx. They wanted something. To me, just do away with it. If we like the old format, then just have an event during the season where it's like the top 32 get in and have that fun event that they had, that Nathan Queen ended up winning. Have that fun event, just be a standalone. And then if the Disc Golf Pro Tour wants to have something, create something and try to make it a major. Create an event and try to make it huge. The playoffs make no sense. It just doesn't make sense in disc golf. It doesn't make sense in a single player sport, the way that we have it set up. And so they're just trying to, this was 100% something they see golf do, and they're trying to copycat it. And it's like one of the worst things in golf. No one likes it in golf, and we're copycatting it.
Why is this the only thing in golf we're willing to copy is their FedEx Cup system?
Correct. That's the big thing. It doesn't make any sense.
My idea is this. You have the season-long points race. You get rid of the World Championship. You call the season-long points race the World Championship, since you're traveling across the world playing at all these tournaments. If you win that, you're the world champion, and then you have the final tournament just be the final tournament. Like, it's the playoff, it's the championship. You've earned your right to be there, and you throw a bunch of money in there, and then you go on your way.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they can do differently. It does blow my mind that this is the one thing that they really grab from golf, and they're like trying to make work, because to me it's just like a no-brainer. Like, it just doesn't work, especially at the end of the season. No one cares. USDGC just happened. Luckily, we did get a nice battle between Ricky and Gannon, but for the most part, no one really cares. It's not a big event that people are like, I have to tune in, I have to be here and watch this.
You ask the top golfers, and I think, because this is a lot of money, you ask the top golfers in the world, would you rather win the Masters or the FedEx points?
Masters.
The Masters, they're picking the Masters.
The only people that are picking the FedEx are the people that need the money, that don't have the money. All the guys that already have millions of dollars,
they're picking a major.
It doesn't, yes, they legacy. They want something that they can go down and be remembered for. No one's going to remember how many
Make the final
FedEx he won.
tournament a major. Get rid of the worlds. Make that the world championships. It's not a major, and you can be the world champion, and you can put it on all your discs, and your team can sell them all.
Yes.
You're the world champ.
Silas, can you find this clip and tell me when you have it? Because I've seen multiple people say it now. I have not listened to it. Aquarian, thank you for the $5. He just says, go look up the post-tourney interview with Ricky. Made me like him less. There's been a lot of people saying they do not like what Ricky said. And
Said he was pissed.
And so can you...
I mean, I can kind of paraphrase it if Silas can't find it.
Silas will be able to find it. And just let me know when you have it, Silas, and we can play it so we can all hear it. Let me rattle these off real quick. Cut me off if any of these you guys want to jump in. So here's, to make courses harder, it's not always about huge distance at every hole. I think we can all agree. I think that's actually probably a good one. Make disc golf free to watch again. That was another suggestion. Any rebuttals to that? You guys like that? Free disc golf? Free it up. All right. Keep disc golf in the woods and move away from open bomber courses.
I'd love that.
I think it does limit disc golf a little bit doing it.
Yeah, you gotta have both.
And it's so much harder to make a good watchable woods course than it is a good watchable open course. But I get it. People don't like, again, it's just, some people are going to like the open. Some people are going to like the woods. It's tough. Let's see here. Last one. Pay the players more. Without them, you have nothing to film.
So whoever posted that must be
with
a player.
what money? With what money? With what money? Silas, how are we doing on the potential?
My opinion.
Well, I don't have Disc Golf Pro whatever subscription, so I'm not even gonna have access to it.
Was it not on Jomez or anything, Uli? Did
No.
they not play it at the end of Jomez? Oh, so it's just at the end of the. Okay, all right.
But Drew can tell you. Drew can tell you what.
Go ahead
what
and paraphrase.
He pretty much just Jeff Spring handed him the mic, and he said, "You know, this is really frustrating. Like the Gannon played great, and pretty much like that's what I gathered. It was like a 2-3 sentence thing. He pretty much just said this is frustrating. Like he's pretty much pissed. You know, you hope to come into an event like this where you have a 6-stroke lead or whatever and finish the deal. Gannon played great and handed the thing back.
Oh, so it wasn't like an interview. It was like a speech.
Yeah.
Come up and speak.
Like, Jeff Spring was probably hoping for a speech, and Ricky, you know, was there to fulfill his contract obligations, and he didn't. I saw the tweets about, you know,
how are people getting upset about that?
I went and looked it up, and I watched it, and I literally laughed. I'm like, again, it's just one of those things. It's like the guy just lost a 6-stroke lead, and the day before he was raptor legging it in from 90 feet on the last hole. Like, of course, anyone is going to be upset. I mean, you could give a little kid that lead and let him lose it in 9 holes, and he's not going to be happy.
And this is also, too, guys, again, we are talking now. I get this kind of going to your point, too, Drew, a little bit. There are going to be more people. Kristen Starr even talked about, she had a putt for $8,000 on the final hole. The money at this tournament, and this is why I think like when you add money into things, it makes things really interesting. Ricky is not, I get it. Ricky does have a nice contract, whatever, but he is not 20 mil in the bank like some of these other professional athletes where if they get fined $50,000, $30,000, it's whatever. That money that he lost also adds to the fact of losing the tournament. Like that is a thing. It wasn't like it has to come into play for some of these guys. I don't know. Ricky's
Why
probably
are
a
we
little
throwing a mic to a guy who just took second?
That's Ricky's a little bit more better off than a lot of these people. But imagine if that was someone that could have made winning that $30,000. That would have been as much money as they made all season. Imagine handing them the mic after them losing 6-shot lead. What they're going to give you, right? Like, I get it. You have to give the mic to Ricky there because you never know what you're going to get. Some of the interviews you get from these players right after a loss in the UFC, March Madness, is some of the best stuff because it's just raw emotion. And Ricky gave it to you. That's what he gave to you. And you have to take it. You can't get pissed off at the guy.
Yeah, I mean that again, that like goes to like you mentioned before you started that. Like you got the guy in like a very vulnerable moment. You know, he just, like you said, lost a couple $10,000, whatever it might be, lost the tournament. I'm sure he went to bed the night before thinking, you know, he's a pretty confident guy, got this locked up, you know, 6-stroke lead, you're playing great. And then you put a microphone and a camera in his face, and then there's people all over the place like, oh, well, he did this wrong. It's like, there is no wrong thing. I mean, when I won Vegas, Terry Miller, his first thing was asking me about Gannon, not about the tournament, not about anything else. Like, oh, what do you think of Gannon? It's like, I didn't go on Twitter and say, oh, he did this wrong. He should have been asking me about me. Like, they gave me an opportunity to be gracious towards Gannon. And, you know, I said he's going to be great, and I think I got lucky. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, like, those are the emotions and the times where you can't really fault somebody for saying something that you don't agree with, because you're asking somebody.
I'm so happy right now, you know, couldn't lose to a better guy.
If someone
like, that's
said
what
that,
they were expecting.
Yeah, if someone said that, like, that is the disc golf answer that we expect. Because, spoiler alert, people, disc golf people, a lot of them are liars, and a lot of them are fakes, and a lot of them are wearing masks, and it's not really who they are. Ricky, again, he's got a little bit of money now. He doesn't feel like he has to give something that he's not. He's giving you his honest opinion of how he feels right at that moment. And you got to respect him for that. If he would have said, I'm so happy for Gannon, this is awesome, he would be lying to himself and be lying to all of us. So I don't know what you guys want for him. I don't know what you want him to say. I think what he said is completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think you tell the truth and you're damned, and you lie and you're damned. I'd rather go down for telling the truth, personally.
Yeah, if he wanted to add in like a little bit of like, congrats to Gannon at the end, like.
Well, that's what he said. He said Gannon played great.
Yeah,
he did say
that's
that.
fine. What the heck are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I was going to say, even if he didn't say that's fine, but if he would have added that in, that would have been like a nice touch.
Well, that's what he said. He said, I'm pissed. I expected to hold, you know, a lead like this you expect to hold on to. You know, very frustrating day. You know, again, you played great, and just pass the microphone back.
Then, well, yeah, this is a non-story. Yeah. But, you know, again, this is okay. I like people are bringing this up. This is what disc golf needs. You need people to come with bad takes, and you need people to come with good takes. The give and take. You need it. All right, Drew, before we get out of here, anything to promote, anything coming up down the way to tell the people?
Hey, wait, do we have his stuff, or did we not get that done?
Oh, I don't know. Size, do we have that stuff? We've been struggling a little bit with the internet and stuff tonight, so we'll see if we can pull this up. Good call there, Uli. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah. We got Drew Gibson's Madden rankings here. All right, so we got your scoring at 83, power at 97, accuracy at 85, scramble at 79, putting at 83, I believe. Yes, and then overall at 85. Anything jump out at you?
What is Uli rated here?
I don't know if we've had Uli pop up yet, but this is based off of touring professionals, so you have to play a certain amount, and the average I believe is 85. So you're pretty much your overall is smack dab average, and then some of your statistics, power and accuracy. Accuracy is the average, and then power is off the charts. Too. Yeah, this is based on this season's statistics. And again,
so then if they're calling me average, that's fantastic rating, because I feel like I'm well below average at the moment.
We also had some people complain about statistic taking, because this obviously is going off of the statistics that people record. I think it was Ezra, the one that was saying like not all his stats are in there, so he thought his numbers should have been higher. But yeah.
I mean, 85, that's like what, a B plus or something in school. I've never laughed at a B in my life, so I'm fine with that. One thing I did want to, I'll ask this and then I can do my little outro and say bye to all of your beautiful friends. But I wanted to ask what you guys thought about the tour card situation.
Oh.
Like, I just want to know what you guys think. Like, am I being oversensitive because I pay my own stuff and I view that $1,000 as like, okay, I want to get a return on this $1,000? Or do you guys also feel that I think that process could be a little more refined or better, or not charging us at all for whatever amenities we might be claiming?
I mean, parking's atrocious. Parking's really bad.
Brad shreds those snacks. Not gonna lie, he probably gets $1,000 a week in snacks. I'm just kidding.
Gannon fills his bag with those things and says it's for the Airbnb. So
Yeah,
I don't fault him.
It kind of goes back to when we were playing Ultimate Frisbee and there was like entry fees to get into tournaments, and players were complaining that there weren't like bagels and bananas and all this stuff at the course. And the TDs were basically like, if you want all that stuff, the entry fees have to go up. And then you'll complain about the entry fees being too high. So that's kind of where I'm at, is like, if we want purses to go up, buy your own snacks.
I can buy my own snacks.
That's if we can all buy our own snacks, because it's kind of like we're almost playing what is it, credit card roulette, right? Where everyone goes out and someone orders like a $7 hamburger, and then there's like everyone else is ordering alcohol and ordering dessert, and they're like, all right, credit card roulette, and you're like, bro, mine's $7. I'm completely fine with just paying mine. And all these other people are paying like $30 tabs. It's kind of like what you're saying. Like, some people are really utilizing these snacks and eating these snacks and maybe some of the other amenities, which I don't even know what really comes else with it other than parking. And if you're never using it, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a curious thing for me. Like I like to base my opinions off of what I've experienced and like what I feel to be fact most of the time. Like, I try not to be like misinformational with my things. And so, I mean, there's 2 people on tour that have paid for the tour card, and I just am interested in what you guys feel that, and like you said, the parking is an atrocious situation
so
almost every single week. You know, and like I said, I just am curious. It's just something that, you know, the opportunity to talk about this with 2 other touring people on a podcast. And I mean, I made that video about the USAGC, like the money and all of that. And I got a lot of overwhelming comments of, wow, this is really cool. Like, I like hearing about this side of the sport. So I think that us 3 sharing this is also something that people will enjoy and find value in, because they don't get to know this type of stuff. They don't know we probably pay $1,000 to have a parking. They don't really know that. So there's going to be people that are like, oh, I didn't even know that you did that. You know, and it's like, also, I would be happy to pay my $1,000 if, like, after your round you had, like, you know, fresh cooked chicken sandwich or something, not just like 14 bags of Halloween sized Skittles. It's like, I don't even want those Skittles. We're gonna be.
It's again one of those things where it to me, it doesn't make sense. Like that kind of.
It should just be there. I mean, who are we kidding ourselves? It should just be there. It should just be there. Like,
who's paying for it?
You think that
who's paying for it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you mean who's paying for it? The tour should pay for it.
But then that's coming out of the purse. Everything right now the tour pays for.
Yeah, because our purses are, because we don't have any money in there.
That's what I'm saying. Everything right now that is coming out, anything that the tour is paying for right now is coming out of the purse. If they hire a new person.
It's just different in other sports, because on the PGA Tour, you're going to get a massage afterwards, a nice some champagne, and they have millions of dollars.
The massage people they pay for, that's not tour provided, but tour does provide them a workout facility. They have a traveling workout facility. They have
probably a couple
water on the
snacks.
courses. They have, yes, but again, it's different, because if you cash at a tour event, you're making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. So at the end of the day, no one really cares that they're spending a couple $1,000 here and there. You know, they're not putting that stuff out there and being like, we have to take away from the purse, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
right now our purses are small to where every little penny that gets spent elsewhere, people are gonna be like, wait, why are we spending money on that?
In my opinion, I think the players should park the closest to the warm-up area in hole 1, period. Not the media crew, not what, like, that's not, that LeBron James doesn't have to park across the street so that the NBC photographer can park in the front row. And I think that
is backwards. Media should be further away. I don't know why media is the best parking. That is backwards. Players are closest to the entry. Media is far away. That's how every other sport does it. I don't know why disc golf is doing it backwards.
So again, we're paying $1,000 for a further parking spot because the media is more important than us, apparently. And then I'd love for them to just have pay for ice, water bottles if it's needed, and sunscreen. And if you want to bring us gummy bears or Skittles or vitamin water or whatever, go to the store on your way.
Sunscreen's
and
also another thing. I'm going to disagree. Sunscreen you can buy. You can buy your own
snacks,
sunscreen.
I'm saying, like, if we're going to spend all this money on things, at least provide something that, like, it is useful.
I see.
Like, I don't want I have my own sunscreen. I have
You're
a million
saying
tattoos.
if they're going to spend $1,000, at least spend it on stuff that you're going to use, not stuff you're not going to use.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, just for people, if you're outside in 90-degree Nashville heat, you should probably throw on some sunscreen on your face. Like, you don't need fucking, excuse my language, you don't need Skittles with 90 dyes in it. And, you know, like, that's my point, is like, if we're going to provide things for players, why don't we provide something that has value beyond just like some candy? And like I said, I have my own, everywhere I go, I have sunscreen. I'm not saying sunscreen for me. I'm just saying, like, well, keep us hydrated and, like, stop us from maybe getting melanoma, and, like, I wouldn't have any complaints. And, like, put the rest of the money into the payout.
I do like
that's where I'm
I do
at.
like the extra workout gear that they have there.
Yeah,
Like to stretch out and stuff.
Well, that's also a one-time purchase, right? They have that. You don't need to charge for that anymore. You already have it. But I'm definitely in the realm of, like, everyone should be taking care of what they need to be taken care of. And the Pro Tour, the only thing that I should, as a player, when I show up, the only thing that I should feel like I am guaranteed is a parking spot and water on the course.
Yeah.
Those two things, if they're there, I'm happy. And all this other extra stuff right now, it's really nice to have. I agree. But really, at the end of the day, it's like you probably should be putting that money back into the purse.
Again,
until the purses get higher.
To USDGC, not had to take a 4-minute drive down a one-way gravel road to get to the parking lot, and gotten $2,500, and I got 10th and no snacks at the warm-up area that I didn't even eat.
There's that comedian who makes the joke about he was at a basketball game and the guy's about to make a half-court shot, so he asks his buddy, like, hey, what does he win? And he's like, tater tots for life. And he looked at his buddy and he's like, I don't mean to brag, but I think I could have tater tots for the rest of my life if I wanted.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Again, I think it is one of those things. A lot of disc golf manufacturers kind of got fooled as well. A lot of money was coming to the sport, a lot of interest, a lot of hype. That's why the Disc Golf Pro Tour, they hired a bunch of people that I don't think are essential. I think right now the only people that Disc Golf Pro Tour should have under their salary is essential people, like essential to make the tour go. All the other additional stuff, I don't see it right now. It doesn't make sense until these purses. Again, you have to remember, guys, half of almost every purse is our money. And I know what Drew said too, is like, well, I'm paying for it. Drew, if sponsors weren't paying for your tournament fees, guess where that money would be going? In our pocket.
Yeah.
It still might. Like, back in the day, people would say, hey, whenever I would do brand deals and stuff, I would always tell my agent to get me a stipend for travel. Right? Because all these companies, what do they want to do? They want to fly you out first class. They want to put you in a suite. They want to give you a car service. They want to do all that for you. So what do I want? I want to do a stipend. So they just say, okay, well, you have $5,000 for travel expenses. And
you just get in the exit row.
Yes, I just chill there. I take a nice little $75 hotel. I Uber or walk or bus or whatever, and I get to keep all that money. So that's the other thing, is like, that money, even though our sponsors are paying for it, that's really coming out of our pockets, because that money would be going to us if they weren't paying for it. So
yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I guess if I viewed my, like, invoice after Monday qualifying, it said $375, and I knew someone's writing me a check next Monday for it, or PayPal, I wouldn't have even thought about, oh wow, this is another expense.
Yeah.
But for me, it's literally, I'm like signing into my PayPal, oh, business card, 400 out. I'm like, holy moly, like, what? But again, they keep raising it because the sponsors keep approving to pay. But what happens? Here's my question to you guys. Paul, you're obviously captain Discraft. What do you think happens when the entry fees become $500 And then and obviously, like you said, the manufacturers are kind of probably looking around and going, wow, we, got, I don't know if tricked is the right word, but, this isn't turning out the way we thought. And now the payments are going down, the interviews are going up. At what point do the manufacturers tell everybody, hey, you're on your own? Like that $7,000 a year, $10,000 a year cost is now in your pocket. And we're going to give you a 40% pay cut.
Well, eventually when the sport's as big as if it gets as big as we hope it gets, you're not going to have giant teams. You're going to have your top 10 people that get on coverage every week, and those are the only guys they have to worry about anyway. I mean, isn't that like typical?
Mm-hmm.
That's like in a real sport, like that's what happens.
Yeah, the problem is you had a lot of manufacturers sponsoring a lot of players to help them on tour, to get people on tour, right? Oh, shout out to Ezra. He says, can't we just buy our own stuff? Yes, Ezra. He's in the chat right now. Very nice. But the problem is you had a lot of manufacturers helping a lot of people tour, right? Because they're like, we have to do our due diligence. There's a lot of people that these manufacturers were sponsoring that weren't making them any money. They were actually losing money sponsoring these people, right? But they were doing it because they knew they had to help out and get people out there. Now what happens is a lot of money starts coming in because of COVID and other things. A lot of money comes in. All these people want more money. The tour now, or the sponsors now are like, well, crap, do I have... So what we're seeing now is a shift of where before they were helping these people, and now they're kind of like, we can't help you anymore, brother. And I just think it's some growing pains. It is what it is. It's a weird kind of flow of this sport, but that's where we are right now. And that's what it is. It's like you're going to have companies look at it and be like, we sponsored 25 people, but 3 of these people make up 95% of our money. And the other, 20 people, 25 people, they make up 5%, right? Why do we need all these people? Why do they need all those people? They probably don't. They probably don't. And that's what I've always said is like, I don't think a lot of these tournaments get worse if there's the 30 top guys are there. And then the guy, like right now, you go to any tournament. Let's just say if you're not in the top 30, you're not allowed in the tournament. I don't think that tournament really changes all that much if those people that are in the tournament now are local. I don't think the tournament changes all that much. From people watching it, like the league card is going to be still the league card. If you're watching it on coverage, you don't even see those people. Sure, you don't get like the crazy stories. Maybe you do actually. Maybe you get like a crazy local guy playing well, but you're not going to have like the crazy stories of like this guy's been on tour and he's been finishing in 50th place and you're not gonna get all that, sure, but I'm still saying by the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't change all that much. So why
someone's
would
gonna
these
get
sponsors
10th in every tournament regardless?
Why would you sponsor a guy that's getting 50th, 40th at every tournament?
Dude, my sponsors might be watching. Don't talk about me like that.
I'm just saying, like, you have to bring something else to the table. So I don't know. Well, I could talk about that for a while, but all right, Drew, hit them with the people. Where can they find you? What's going on? What you selling? All that stuff.
So for diaper money, I'm doing form reviews on my website. So GibsonDiscGolf.com. I'm doing video, like form reviews with lines and all types of stuff that'll help you. If you go to our website, that will be at the very top. It says Drew's Reviews. That'll be a good way to support me and also help your form, help you throw better. Dial in a little bit. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for being on here or, hosting this and inviting me. Greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we could do it more. And then hopefully, Brodie, one day when we retire, we could play 18 holes of golf together and maybe share an ice cream or something.
Okay. Sounds good. We always appreciate you jumping on here, brother.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, no worries. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too, man.
Congratulations again, buddy.
There you have it. Drew Gibson, ladies and gentlemen. Very fun, very fun. All right, let's wrap up the tour championship. FPO, Uli, something's in the water. Missy Gannon. This is now her 3rd time winning the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. She does it back to back. Any thoughts on like what the deal is with why she's so successful at these tournaments with big purses? Or is it just like a coincidence?
It's
or
big
is she
money.
just good and she just wins a bunch?
Just big money Missy, man. She shows up when the purses are big. I don't know. I think that's a question we need to ask her. Maybe we'll have her on next week or something because it's interesting how she does win all the big money purses.
Yes, that is true. Owen Scoggins, couple highlights here. Owen Scoggins had a wild kick off the Mando on hole 18 to end up tying
Craziest shot I've ever
Kristen.
seen.
What luck was that? That was wild. I think Kristen also, I want to just read real quick what her final thoughts of the season was. I think she always eloquently says what's on her mind. So she says, here is a photo of me going to my last tournament putt of the season, stepping up to the circle edge putt. I knew it was a difference of splitting $8,000 or losing it. Being in that pressure situation, executing your shot the way you want is always pleasing. With this putt, I ended my season on a very high note. Congrats to Missy, who was on fire the last 2 rounds and took down another Disc Golf Pro Tour championship win. All in all, for me, another amazing season is in the history books. Although I was only able to enter 17 tournaments, I managed to pick up 8 wins, ended up second 4 times, third 2 times, and missed podium only in 3 completions. Made history with becoming the first 1,000 rated woman, successfully launched my new brand and website, expanded my team with my manager, and with many great collaborations with different supporters. I'll definitely make a more profound summary of this season on my website soon. Thank you to everyone who's fun. I think that was like her, I should get player of the year. Like, you all must have forgot I'm still the best of the best out here.
Well, I did think it was interesting that both the points leaders won the tournament. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it did play out that way.
The year-long playing the most consistent and everything ended up paying off. As far as Kristen goes, pretty good case. I mean, she almost won half the event she played in. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's still so I don't know who, what is it between Evelina, her, and
Missy? I think so. I think Missy winning this definitely puts her in the conversation. Yeah. Another shout out, have to give a shout out to Ezra Robinson. I don't think right now there's a more exciting player inside of 150 feet.
He's fantastic.
I mean, I could watch that guy throw frisbees at baskets all day long. Very, very fun. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, his throw is like his putt.
It's mind-boggling. Disc Golf Pro Tour, this is very interesting. They just announced on Twitter today that they're doing a CBS Sports collaboration for the 2024 D-Glow and 2024 Disc Golf Pro Tour playoffs. So this was the interesting thing. The article that they linked to on their Twitter, which they announced today, was timestamped October 16th. Did I miss this announcement on October 16th? Did anyone see this a week ago? Silas, did you see this? I thought that was very weird. So it was
just an old link.
No, I'm saying the article was timestamped October 16th. The article was written on October 16th.
Maybe they just published it today, but wrote it later.
They wrote it a week ago and then published it today?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just was like, wait, did I miss that? Okay, so there's going to be condensed coverage in the coming months. 4 1-hour features. It's going to be produced by Jomez with collaboration with DGN. And the air dates and times of this will be announced soon. Uli, what's your involvement, if any, in this?
Haven't heard.
No heard? Okay.
Last year, they what was it? I found out I was doing it like a week beforehand, so.
Okay. My thoughts on this are going to be very consistent to what I say with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. With anything, if they paid any money for this, I think it's stupid. If this is something that the CBS Sports is paying Disc Golf Pro Tour, I think that's awesome. And if it's something that's completely free, of where we're just providing them with coverage and they're getting to show it on their platform, I think that's good. But if we're paying for this, it's CBS Sports, guys. I think a lot of people, they see CBS, they freak out. It's CBS Sports. This could go on a crazy channel that very few households even have. To me, it's not a game changer if we paid for it. That's my whole thing. I think any coverage is good coverage, but if we paid for it, I think.
Hey, I'm pumped, man. Get it out there.
Yeah, I hope we didn't pay for it.
Shouldn't they be paying for it?
Yes, Silas.
For the rights?
Yes, Silas.
Broadcast the Disc Golf
Yeah.
Pro Tour
Let's
sport?
just assume that they did pay for it.
Okay.
That'll make us all feel better.
All right. Well, Pro Tour Championship next year is gonna be $100,000 to the winner.
Yeah.
All right. I thought this was very interesting. A lot of people, because obviously Gannon just capped off this season, really, really great season. A lot of people are, debating whether or not this is the greatest season of all time. I thought this was very interesting. A lot of people point to Paul McBeth's 2015 season, right? And they say his average finish was 1.34. He won 18 of the 24 events. That's the greatest season of all time, right? That's what they kind of throw those numbers out, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're hearing too, Uli?
Yeah, that's the argument. Yeah. And Ken Climo's season of like winning every tournament or something.
Then why isn't Ken Climo just the best season of all time? No doubt about it. 1995 averaged 1.12, so better than 1.34. He played 26 events, so 2 events more, and he won 23 times. So Paul lost 6 times out of 24 events. Ken Climo lost 3 times out of 26
I think
events.
they're definitely compatible, but I think we're missing the picture here. Paul won 5 majors that year. Ken Climo didn't win 5 majors that year. He won the World Championships.
Okay, so you're throwing the majors in there. But how many majors did Ken Climo have back then?
He had 2.
So if there was 5, how many would he win? I never heard
I don't
that
know.
many,
We didn't have him though.
I'd never heard that many people talk about the Ken Climo as like the best season ever, and I'm wondering why.
I mean, no, I've heard that for sure.
I haven't. I'm saying on what I've seen on social, this was the first time I saw someone bring it up, and I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Like if you're gonna throw Paul's season in there, I think you have to also throw Ken's in there.
Okay, let's just talk about as a professional. What do you want to win? You want to win majors.
Yep.
How many did Paul win? He won all 5.
Yep.
It's the end of the discussion.
Sure. I think it is a topic of discussion.
No, but I just ended the discussion. I love the discussion. But when you win all 5 majors in any sport that has majors, like it'd be like,
wasn't one of those a fake major though? Come on now. But no, still he won everything that was there. So, 2025 schedule. I think we're gonna do more of a breakdown on this coming up.
Okay.
But the 2025 schedule has been posted. We're gonna probably table this for next week. But it looks like we're going to start in Florida again, then have a couple events in Texas, go to Tennessee, Missouri, then we go out to California, Washington, Oregon, then we go back to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then we go Europe. We go Prague, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, Finland. Then we go back to Illinois, Kentucky, Michigan. And then we finish it again the same way. Vermont, Massachusetts, South Carolina. And then obviously if the new London set up, we go to the Disc Golf Pro Championship in Lynchburg, Virginia. So we'll do more of a breakdown, how we feel about it, what we're looking like. Still don't know why we're only doing one event in Florida or why we're only doing one event on the East Coast and then completely leaving it. Makes no sense to me. Someone did ask, does the tour play Waco too early in the year when you guys play in March? The lines aren't grown in yet and everyone complains it's too easy. Later on in the year, the lines get significantly smaller. Example, hole 1, the hyzer doesn't exist. I agree with him. Like that course gets way harder if you play it later in the year. Way harder. We'll go over storylines next week as well. Some of the biggest storylines. So Uli, if you want to come up with some of your storylines that you liked from this season. But we're going to finish tonight's podcast. Great podcast. Sorry for some of the technical difficulties. If you guys watch live, apologies with the video and audio issues tonight. We're getting through it though. A couple questions here and then we'll end it. Should touring pros be allowed to participate in winning? Oh, I think we already answered that one. Let's go to this one. This one I thought was interesting. Why is it okay that men push women and children aside to storm on the 18th green to watch Kristen win? This is talking about USDGC. Why is there no security at any disc golf event? I brought in a bag every day and didn't get checked once.
It's a good question. I think there should be.
So this kind of goes back to what we were saying, like the money thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you pay for security, you pay for all that. Where's that money coming from right now? It's coming out of the purse. Should there be security? 100%. Do they have the financial things to do that? Probably not. That's why I think when the Natalie Ryan situation was the most heated,
Yeah.
we had a little bit of security at a couple of the events, and then once it died down, they cut that expense. So I don't know. It's unfortunately one of those things of where it probably doesn't exist unless something bad happens, which is bad to say, but that's probably the truth, right? I don't know. We'll see. What would make the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale a better product? Any material changes, or is it just sticking? I think you had a great answer to that. So if you didn't listen to it, go back and listen to what Uli thinks for that. This is, I think, directed towards me. Do you have a 2025 tour card? And if not, will we see you at the Q Series finale back where the season started? Based on my understanding, world rank 91 to 150 should be invited. You're 149. I don't believe I will have a tour card next year. I think there's something you can do to request one.
Yeah, you can. There's exemptions.
Yeah, you can request one, and if you get, if they decide to give you one, they'll give you one. But no, I will not be going to play the Q Series finale in November. Would you ever work? We already answered that. Would you ever work? There's a good one for you too, Uli. Would you ever work with the Disc Golf Network to make content for them if it meant no more YouTube content?
What do you mean meant no more YouTube content?
So like if you had to sign like an exclusive deal, so like all the disc golf content you made had to be under the Disc Golf Network umbrella, and you weren't allowed to make content on your YouTube anymore.
No, I don't think I'd do that deal.
Last question. Will we see a decrease in touring pros next year? If so, will the field sizes be decreased, or do you think locals might get a shot?
Yeah, I don't think I think you're going to always, at this point, have grinders get out there and tour. I think we're going to have full fields.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that wish they could go out there and play right now. And so if there are a decrease, those will get filled. And at the end of the day, too, there's probably going to be a bunch of local pros where it's like, hey, this is my one shot. Let me go. Let me try it, So, and again, it's one of those where it's like, man, it sucks because you want to try to have a complete tour if you can. But again, if you only had the top 50 players playing, these purses would be cut in a quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally a quarter of the purse gone from not having all those people up. So, all right. How do we do, Silas? Did we knock everything out of the park?
Yeah, we covered everything.
Fantastic. Last thing I want to say, Imposter Disc Golf just came out today. Episode 1. I forgot the name of it. Silas, what's the name of it? The off season. The off season.
Oh, yeah. Off-season
the
podcast.
off season will start next week. We're going to do a little recap of the behind the scenes. Silas will give his input too, because he was filming all of it. I'll give a little bit of my input. Uli, if you haven't watched it, definitely give it a watch. It is very, very exciting. Imposter Disc Golf, episode 1 just dropped on Foundation Disc Golf. So give that a watch. Let me know what you think. And other than that, thank you guys so much. Uli, you got anything else for the people? Silas, you got anything else for the people?
I don't. I will say when that coverage comes out on CBS, it's definitely helpful for everybody to watch it.
Uli, you got to go watch the Imposter Disc Golf too, man. It's electric. It's electric.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, no, you're right. The numbers do matter there.
Yeah, they do.
Like they do look at how many people are tuning in and watching. So that is definitely something we all need to get behind. I'm just gonna be very upset if I find out that they paid for it, Uli. I'm gonna be.
I just told you we dropped it. We got paid for it.
And Slang and Dis says bring back Brad. He's been a member of the Tour Life crew for 18 months. We might have to bring Brad back. Definitely this off season. All right. Appreciate you, Uli. Silas, thank you so much as always. Everyone listening, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you all next week.